Hello and welcome to the Aspire Guide to Functional Skills ICT Level 2, looking at Set 21 Question 3, which is the newsletter. If you just watched my previous video, you should know that the Footy Memories newsletter on the left is a newsletter that should get us close to full marks, if not full marks, on Question 3. So what we'll be doing in this video is looking at how to create that from the resources and the information that we get in our test. Okay, I'm going to be referring back to the Footy Memories newsletter, but we're going to be working on this blank document over here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my text document in which all the information has been given to me. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to copy it and paste all this information into my new document. Now you can see the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that it doesn't fit neatly onto one page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the paragraph tab. I'm going to go to line and paragraph spacings, and I'm going to click remove space after paragraph. After highlighting everything, there we go. So highlighting all the information and then clicking remove space after paragraph, which fits everything onto one page for me. Okay, you can see I've got the word title there next to my title. I don't want that there, so I'm going to delete that. The first thing I'm going to do is to format my actual title, which is Footy Memories newsletter. So in order to format my title, I'm going to make that size 20 in my text. I'm going to give it a blue font colour. I'm going to change the font style to Bauhaus 93 for me, and I'm going to centre it using the centre button in the paragraph tab there. So you can see that should match our Footy Memories newsletter title there. In fact, I'm also going to add some underline as well. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the information that I have into columns. Okay, you can see this is across 2 columns. So again, I'm going to highlight all the information that I need. I'm going to go to the Insert tab. Sorry, excuse my language, the Layout tab, which is the 5th tab along. I'm going to go to Columns, and I'm going to select 2 columns. And you can see that has put everything into 2 columns for me there. Okay, now that that's done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and highlight all of the things that I can see that seem like headings or subheadings, and I'm going to format them differently to the body text. So I need to remember that when I'm doing this, I cannot format it the same size as my title, because my title needs to be bigger than the subheadings, and it also needs to be formatted slightly differently to make it look like a title. So I'm going to try and keep things consistent. I'm going to choose blue. I'm still going to have things in bold. I'm going to increase the size to size 16, and I'm also going to center those as well. Now, as these looks like a main heading, I'm going to give it an underline as well. Let's just see if that matches what I've done previously. Yep, it does. Okay, I could do this for all the other headings, but there is a shortcut. What I can do, now that I like the look of the formatting of this heading, is I can highlight it, and up here in the very top left in the clipboard tab, there is a paintbrush, which is a format painter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click that, which keeps that format painter on, and I'm going to highlight the other sections that I want to look exactly like the section that I've just highlighted. And you can see it makes all those changes for me. It makes it bold, it increases the size, it underlines it, and it center aligns it as well. So there's most interesting facts, and also this month's star buys. Let's highlight that as well. Okay, now those are done, I'm just going to turn that off by clicking the paintbrush again, and that's turned off. I'm going to do the same thing for my subheadings as well. So underneath each of those headings, there were some subheadings. So we can see Whitehorse FA Cup Final is one here. Again, I'm going to turn that bold. I'm going to make that blue. I'm going to make that 16 size and centre align it. However, I'm not going to underline this one because it's not one of the main headings. So again, I'm going to go to that Format Painter paintbrush. I'm going to double click and I'm going to go through and highlight anything else that I want to look exactly like Whitehorse FA Cup Final looks here. So there's Women's FA Cup Final at Wembley. There's signed photographs. There's programmes and also football shirts. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to turn off Format Painter there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look through the information that we've got, and I'm going to look for the section in which I have to enter the information that I found out in task 1. And you can see that is, first of all, in this section here, entering the name of the white horse. The white horse's name was Billy. And the date of the Women's FA Cup Final, which goes here. And that was the 1st of August 2015. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my logo, which you can see in the example is in the top right hand corner. So I'm going to go to my images set that I've been given, and I'm going to copy over, drag over the Footy Memories logo. Depending on the version of Word that you're using, you might not be able to drag it over. You might have to go to the Insert tab and choose Picture to go the long way around. But in this case, I'm dragging it over. Like I can see, it hasn't initially gone where I wanted it to. This is a common problem, and that's because the text wrapping needs to be set. So text wrapping decides how a picture is going to look depending on the text that's around it. So I want my text to be kind of up here, or I want my logo, sorry, to be up here. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to the wrap text option, and you can see that I have some different options here about how the text is going to look in relation to the logo. And you can see there's a little example. It might be a little bit difficult to see because it's small, but there's an example of how that might look when you do click it next to each option. So the way that the lines and the little kind of half hoop line up is an example of how the text and the logo is going to interact. So in this case, I'm going to choose in front of text because that means that I can put it where I want and it's not going to mess up anything. And I'm going to drag up into the top right hand corner of Footy Newsletter. I'm also going to drag it slightly smaller because it's a little bit bigger than I want, and I want to make sure that I use the corners to do that. I will lose marks if I resize by either of the two sides. I must resize by the corner to make sure that it doesn't stretch or distort in any way. Okay, once I've done that, I know that I need to add 2 more images, one appropriate one and one from task 1. So in task 1, I saved a picture of the old Wembley. Again, I'm going to drag that over to an appropriate place, which is after the section on Women's FA Cup Final. And again, you can see it hasn't really gone where I've wanted it to. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to wrap text. And this time I'm going to click tight because I want my text to be tight around this picture. I want it to kind of fit neatly around it. So I'm going to drag my picture down to where I want it to go, which is just under the section that says New Wembley Stadium. And I'm going to let go, and there it stays. So finally, I need a further picture from the images set, and I'm going to choose the programs picture, which is image 5 here. So again, I'm going to drag that across, and I'm going to put that underneath the 1998 League Cup final. Again, you can see that doing that has distorted things, so not to worry. I'm going to click on the picture. I'm going to go to wrap text again, which you can do either by right click, or sometimes there's a pop-up option, which you can see here. So I'm going to go to wrap text, and this time I want text to wrap top and bottom, which means that I don't want any text either side of it. I just want the text around it to be on the top and on the bottom. So I'm going to resize this by the corners, and I'm going to drag that over to where I want it, which was just underneath League Cup final. You can see. And is that about roughly how big I want it? Yeah, I would say so. You can have a little fiddle around, a little stretch. But there we go. That's roughly how I want it to look. Okay, so we can see I've used 3 different types of text wrapping to make sure that the pictures do what they want to do, or do what I want them to do. The next thing that I'm going to do is to add some additional formatting. So we can see that underneath football shirts, side photographs and programs, there's 3 options each, so that seems to me like a good opportunity for some bullet points. So I'm going to click there behind Birmingham. I'm going to go to home. I'm going to make this slightly larger. And I'm going to go to bullet options, which is here in the paragraph tab. And I'm going to add a fancy bullet. I'm going to highlight all the text I want to do that to, and I'm going to do the same again. So insert bullets, insert bullets. Okay. Also going to, for neatness sake, let's highlight these in bold, and again I might use the format painter here, just double clicking and just selecting the text that I want to be bold. So Birmingham, Newcastle, Norwich, Alan Ball, George Best, and 1973, 1953, and 1998. I can turn the format painter off now. Okay, so we can see it's starting to come together. In fact, I'm also going to turn the contact details at the very bottom in bold as well, to make those stick out. Okay, we're nearly at the end, so we can see it's starting to come together. 2 more formatting changes that I can make are to center just, or to full justify, sorry, not to center justify, to full justify the body text. And what this means is to line everything up on the left hand margin and on the right hand margin as well. So we do that by highlighting the text, by going up to the paragraph tab again, and you can see there's these 4 options. There's left justify, there's center justify, there's right justify, and there's full justify. So in a newsletter we generally want full justify for our main body text, as it does make things look a little bit neater and a little bit more professional. So I'm going to highlight all the body text that I want to center justify. And I'm going to do that. Okay, and finally the last bit of formatting that I'm going to add is a page border. So we add a page border by going to the Design tab, going to the right hand side and clicking Page Border. And we can select our style of page border. And we'll go for this style and click OK. And we can see I've added a page border there. In fact, that one's a little bit heavy. Don't like it too much, so I might change it up to perhaps this instead. There we go, that's a little bit easier on the eye. So the final thing to do is just to have a final look through to see if things are as we want, and I can see that actually this picture isn't quite where I want it to be. So because I've chosen the appropriate text formatting, I know I can just drag it to the correct place that I want and let go. And we can see that we've got a professional, balanced and appropriate newsletter, which should get us full marks. And through that, we've used some different formatting techniques. We've used the Format Painter, we've used 3 types of text wrapping, we've used Justify, and we've also made sure to format titles and body text differently. So, full marks.